Morning at Coldwell Banker Realty Central Region. I'm excited for this morning. The Central Region comprises over 8,000 plus of the finest real estate agents and staff in the country. My name is Brian Bollier, and I'm the Regional Vice President here in Minnesota and Wisconsin, and have been with Coldwell Banker for some 23 years. I want to welcome you all to segment 5 of View from the Top. We started this in January, and we have 4 other amazing segments. So I hope you take a look at those. I want to first say thank you all for coming, investing in your time to improve, to learn, and get some great information and insight from our industry and some of the top industry players we have. And 4 of them are with us today. You guys have asked us multiple times to utilize our unfair advantage, which is our scale as an organization, to bring different perspectives from different parts of the country. And so I hope you like this format. We created it for you. So give us the feedback, and hopefully we're delivering on your requests. If you're interested in any past segments, we are going to be compiling these all on a YouTube channel. It's Coldwell Banker Central Region. You can go ahead and subscribe to it. I believe right now there may be nothing in there. There will be 5 sessions in there real soon if you want to go back and see any of the previous episodes that we've done. So today I have the great pleasure of facilitating with 4 of the finest from Texas to St. Louis to our Illinois company, and here in my home state, Minnesota and Wisconsin. And before I introduce our panelists to you today, I do want to let you know this is a discussion. Let's have some, I already see the chat lighting up on the side. Let's have some fun today. Cheer on your friends, cheer on each other, and let's have a really, really good discussion and chat. We'll try to get you involved. We'll try to go back to some of the questions, ask some of the questions. We may even ask you to come off of mute, raise your hand if you'd like to do that. And so let's have some fun. Let's get started. First, I want to just do a very brief introduction of our 4 guests, and then we'll let them give you a little 1-minute infomercial after that, and then we'll dive in. So from Minnesota, I'd love to introduce you, Drew Hewler. Drew, give a little wave there. I asked for some insights from our leaders in each of the metros, and Tony Maurer, our great branch manager, and Matt Baker, our president, had a few wonderful words for you, Drew. They said Drew is focused. He's consistently seeking ways to enhance his practice, and extremely client-centric. And I will tell you, constant sponge from what I've got to know of observing and getting to know Drew, always learning and willing to collaborate and share. From Illinois, Michelle Arsenault will share with you her perspective on branding. And Ayub said this about you, Michelle: the content of their character. And when he was referencing there, it will be interesting to see Michelle's perspective. She's building a team. And so since coming to Coldwell Banker not that long ago, has built her team up to 7 people. And I'm guessing she'll share how her branding fits into all of that. But one of her key partners is Katie, her daughter. And when Ayub was talking about their character, that's what he's referencing. And combined with their work ethic and reputation, the market was aligned with our values. And I can tell an amazing human being. From St. Louis brings you Marc Sinclair and Carol McCabe. I could go on about this long about you, Marc, from what Carol said about you. He has been one of our most supportive agents from the beginning. Marc is very professional. He still wears a suit, as you can see, to his listing presentations. Competitive cyclist. I didn't know that about you. And a great sense of humor. I did know that about you in our earlier hour conversation. He's one of the agents. And in the Central Region, Greg Rand has taken, and by the way, I'll take a little segment here. Congratulations and happy anniversary. It's Greg Rand, our executive vice president's 1-year anniversary today. So thank you for all your contributions. But Greg has been kind of looking at our Central Region and who's improved their business, and took a look at hundreds of people that doubled or tripled their business with Coldwell Banker here in the Central Region this last year. And Marc is one of those. Congratulations, Marc, to you. And last, but you will certainly find out not least, is Courtney Benson. Courtney's from Texas, and my friend, the author of Closers Club, Alex Vidal, mentioned this of you, Courtney. Courtney is simply awesome. Big exclamation mark. Courtney is humble, caring, fun, and one of the best human beings I know. And so I thought that was a great way to sum up all of this, because I can say amongst the, we're going to get started because I know you're not here to listen to me chatter on, but again, get into the discussion, hop into the chat and cheer on everyone and ask some questions. But we're going to get it started with each of our panelists talking a little bit about their background. So if you give us your background, what markets you serve, length of time in the business, and whatever else you want to share about yourself. Marc, who you can throw your humor in there if you'd like, but you can kick it off for us, sir.
Well, I serve the St. Louis region, or should I say area, St. Louis County, Jefferson County, and St. Charles County. And my background is in sales and sales management in the medical device and pharmaceutical industries. I've been involved in real estate now for about 7.5 years, and I currently operate as a realtor and a broker associate with Coldwell Banker.
Wonderful. Great. Drew, we'll pick you next since you're the next box in my screen here.
Sounds good. So I have been licensed for a total of 9 years. I've been full-time. This is my 5th year actually in the business. I come from a background of financial services on the institutional side, where I worked for 9 years, and actually in getting my MBA from the University of Minnesota, realized that real estate was the direction I needed to go. It was always my favorite hobby and passion, but I was pushed by my classmates to turn it into a career, and I'm certainly glad I did. So, and then what was the other question, Brian? Anything else I need to cover?
Markets you serve, your history. I know you come from a real estate background too. That's interesting.
Yes. So my family's been involved in real estate in this area for many years. And I primarily serve the Lake Minnetonka, western suburbs, and the Minneapolis markets.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Thanks and welcome, Drew. Miss Courtney, why don't you take it off next year?
Sure. So I've had my license here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for about 8 years. Previous to that, I was in luxury cosmetics for 14 years. Lived in Los Angeles, Las Vegas. I'm originally from California, but I've been in Dallas for 18 years. Was a former celebrity makeup artist, trainer for MAC and a couple other big brands. Got into real estate out of losing all of our money back in 2010. Kind of stumbled into it by the grace of God and a cheap Groupon, and have gone from there. And that's kind of my story.
Sounds great. Well, if Groupons work, someone make note of that. We'll pick up more Courtney's that way in a second. And I could probably use you for my makeup here this morning. So welcome, Courtney. And Michelle, why don't you round us off here?
Hi, thank you for having me. When I first found out I was on this panel, I thought, why are they choosing me? And then my daughter, Katie, reminded me of all my daily habits. And so I guess my neurosis is coming out and working for something good. And hopefully it helps some of you. My team and I, we cover from Chicago down to Iroquois County. So it's a large Iroquois, Kankakee, the Chicago Southland, basically. As Brian mentioned, my daughter, Katie, has been on my team about 6 years. So that's been amazing. And this is, I think, my 30th year in real estate.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we're going to kick it off here. The first question, I'm just going to keep it in the realm. When we got this topic, and the first time I kind of was chewing on branding, it's really broad. And what really helped me align with the needs of this topic was in my discussions with each one of you individually, where I was like, wow, each one of you has such a different way you brand yourself and your company. And so I'm just going to start with, what does branding mean to you? And Michelle, I'll just go back to you since you were right up there and everything's functioning well with your technology. So I'll just have you roll right back to that.
I guess it starts with, in real estate, people need to like you and trust you. So my branding needs to reflect that. And over 30 years, as we all know, real estate markets change, trends change. So your branding has to keep changing with that. And it's nice having my daughter on my team because she can bring in some of that younger, newer look, clothes, jewelry, everything. I'll look at my calendar for the day and say, who am I meeting with? And I'll want to look, and feel similar to that person so they feel comfortable. I know that a lot of the younger people that are buying houses, they prefer to work with Katie. It's just, people kind of lean towards who they're drawn to and similar to.
Yeah. Thank you. Marc, what does branding mean to you?
That's a great question. For me, it's the outward image that you project towards society, right? It's like Michelle said, it's the look, it's your dress, it's your speech, it's the way you carry yourself, the way you interact with others, and most importantly, how you attract others to you. If I had to sum it up, I would say branding is how customers recognize you in the marketplace, how they experience your business in the marketplace. That's what branding is to me.
Interesting. And how would you say that comes across to your consumers? I think
it comes across very well. I mean, I know my target audience, and I try to brand myself in image and education and everything that I just shared towards that audience.
Mm-hmm.
So I know who my target audience is, I know where I can find them, and I try to project that image outward to them.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I've been creeping on all of you for the last month. So I would say it portrays that way. Now, from my conversations with both of you, it seemed a little more protective, or, Michelle, you use private in your wording of your branding, and Marc is very strategic. Courtney, I'm going to swing the same question over to you. What does branding mean to you? Because I know a very different portrayal of branding. In fact, I'd say you are your brand, and I would say 8,000 TikTok followers. You're not super private. So what does branding mean to you, and how do you utilize that?
It means I don't have to work so hard, honestly, because the only thing I know how to do is just be me. I'll be 45 on Friday, and it's taken a long time to get to know me, but I embody me to the core, and it's easy for me to be me. And I am not a cold caller. I am not a door knocker. I am not flyer sender outer kind of person. So the only thing I know how to do is be me. I'm an oversharer. I am education is first and foremost. I want to know everything more than the other person as far as a contract goes. I feel like I'm no nonsense with people, so they trust me. And I'm like humor. I don't think, while it's a big deal to buy and sell real estate, we're not curing cancer. It can be fun. You just have to connect with that person. But for me, I found just being myself was very easy for me to do because I'm comfortable with myself. I accept that I'm not for everybody, and that's okay. And other than that, that's why I said I'm lazy with some of the other things that we get bombarded with when we become a realtor. So I was like, I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna have to do something. So then I just figured out how to be me and monetize it, essentially.
That's great. And I mentioned that all four of you are so different in how you portray branding. And when we look across the 8,000 people in the central region, or those of us as CEOs of our company, we are. And so I was really excited to see the differences. Although you've got a fan base here. I know Nicole Hoverson in our town is all over social media. She just said, I feel like you're my sister. So I'd probably agree with that. Hey, Drew, what does branding mean to you?
I think I'm similar in some ways to what Courtney just said. Having an authentic and approachable image in the marketplace that people connect with. I have to be myself because it would be hard to be anybody else. And, but I also think it's interesting, I do have to be cognizant of the demographic that I serve. And a lot of my clients are older than I am. I'm 35 years old. And have a lot of experience. And I don't have the many decades of experience serving this market that some of them may see in competition when I'm at listing appointments. So being very professional, being the most knowledgeable about their property, about the specifics of, the lake and everything else, I have branded myself, I think, as an expert, but also as somebody who is approachable. And, to somebody's point a little bit earlier, knowing your clientele and making them comfortable, whether that means, being yourself, but maybe not wearing the full suit. For me, I sell a lot of the lake. People at different price points aren't necessarily very formal. So I know that about our market, and you try to make sure you are in your role essentially, but always yourself. So wherever you go, the other thing is I like to say, we're running a perpetual campaign to be a realtor. And whether you're at the grocery store, whether you're at the gym, wherever you are, making connections with people, not because you want their business, but because you want to be approachable and you want to be known in the community and an active member of that community. I think that's all part of branding for me.
That's interesting. I remember that you bringing that up. It doesn't matter if what you're doing at home, you're running to the store, you're getting back into your whatever your outfit, your brand. So I thought that was interesting. Drew, let's get tactical with this question though. Like, how do you brand yourself specifically? So this might get into the marketing aspects or how you are so recognizable within your communities.
So in terms of materials, I mean, previously I'd always emphasize the marketing of my listings, and whether that was in exclusive print opportunities or other options that Coldwell Banker has, which, we're lucky here locally. We have a very, very strong market share. We have a lot of opportunities for exclusive publications, whether they be electronic or in print. And so I really, from an early on in my career, I leveraged those to make sure that my name was present in the marketplace. And then as my business grew, I've been able to take out a billboard on the main freeway here in town coming towards the lake. And, it's me and my dog on the billboard. So, that's me. And I think to a lot of people that says Lake Life. It's so, which is a brand that, or part of the brand that I have built. So does that answer your question, Brian? I think the other thing is, the fit, finish, and experience of the marketing materials and things that you leave with a client. Everything they touch is an opportunity for you to brand yourself. And we're very careful, everything down to the cardstock that we use in our marketing materials. When somebody touches something of ours, I want it to have a luxury presence and for people to have a perceived value to those marketing materials, to the point where people have kept things that I've given them, because like your Apple iPod box, people keep them because they look at it and they go, oh, this seems like it's a value. Well, no, it's not. It's cardboard, but the perceived value is high. And I think that's an opportunity for all of us.
I love that detail you put into stuff, Drew. You bring up that apple in the box. I mean, all that's very, very specific. It is intentional, and I see you as someone very intentional with your, again, the fit and finish and how that experience the consumer, that the touch, the all across. So really, really awesome point. Michelle, why don't you hop in on how do you brand yourself specifically?
I've been with Coldwell Banker a little over a year now. And prior to that, I was with a smaller, more independent company. And just would get frustrated year after year. I knew where I wanted my branding to be. What I had, it didn't feel good to hand it out. I wasn't proud of it. With Design Concierge, I was able to get a new logo that I'm proud of. A really fabulous personal brochure. And if anybody wants to see it, I'm sure we can figure out a link or something. But I feel really good when I hand it out. With that said, my price point since I've switched companies is probably gone up at least 200,000. And so just feel really good about that. As far as specific branding, I did hire a social media person about 4 months ago. And that's helped a lot also, because Katie was we were doing too much. So we handed that off, which came as an idea from the summit that I had gone to with Coldwell Banker. So that I think is going really well. We're getting nice comments on our social media, and people can definitely tell a difference. I'm in the midst of growing a team at the company I was at. I had 3 that came with, my daughter being one of them. And now in just a little over a year, there are 7 people on my team. So I'm in the midst of trying to grow that. And we have a team, always professional photos. I make sure I know how everybody's dressed before we go take the photo. So we have a billboard up that I think reflects what I would want it to show to the public.
All right. Thank you very much. And you're getting a lot of love on that brochure. So we'll try to figure out how to get that out to, we've got hundreds of people on this morning. So we'll try to figure out how to distribute that afterwards. And we'll move over. How about Marc? How do you brand yourself specifically?
Well, I will just say I don't have a legacy in the family in real estate, but what I do have is Coldwell Banker's logo. So I try to leverage that as much as possible to influence my brand. And then it's a combination of the professional attire. It's a combination of, following up with clients, basically branding in preparation and discipline. It's a combination of continuing education outside of the required CE credits, making sure you're reaching for other designations or certifications so you can be the best or the most valuable, not only to yourself, but to your clients. It's also utilizing a lot of the tools that Michelle mentioned. The resources. Listing Concierge for me works well. Design Concierge, if you're not using it, you should, as far as creating a logo. Everything that I do is consistent with my brand, and it kind of funnels back to that. There's also a variety of social media companies that I've employed over the years that I still employ now. Outbound Engine handles my social media content. There's so much. I mean, Listing Concierge, since we're talking about that, utilizing Home Spotter, for boost when you're getting your ads out in front of people. It's just a variety. It's just a variety.
Cool. Courtney.
Yes, sir.
How do you brand yourself?
I would say it's consistent messaging over time. That's how you get somebody to trust you. Whoever you are, whatever your message is, it needs to be consistent over time. You can't stab at stuff and expect people to follow along with your story and connect with it and then trust you. Because if you can't even trust who you are in your own brand, how are other people going to trust you? So it has to be consistent, and it is not a quick thing. You have to establish your brand over time. And I like what you said. I was talking about the other day with my neighbor. She owns a company, and I said, it's funny, no matter what career I've had, I have always been my own brand. I've always been my own personality, I guess. And for me, I know a lot of people will outsource their social media because they're not comfortable with it. For me, social media is one of my core competencies. And so I will never outsource that for me, because nobody can be me better than me. I also have a rule that I don't talk about real estate, which is super weird, I guess, I know. But when I have had mentees come to me and people are so anxious, like, hey, what do you do for a living? And they're like, ask me so I can tell you I'm a realtor. Ask me, like, and you can like feel it. And so I just have a rule. I don't talk about real estate unless someone specifically asks me about it. I don't talk about it. But if you go to my social media, there is no mistake that not only am I a realtor, I am a badass realtor. And you want to be my friend because I'm a great friend. I know all the stuff that's happening in town, and I will get you whatever house you want, and you're going to love it, and we're going to be besties when it's over. And I put that message out consistently over time. So when I'm at the baseball game with my son, people have seen it. They already know. They're like, I've seen your running billboard on social media, so I don't ever have to wait for you to tell me you're a realtor. So for me, my whole goal behind branding is when you hear my name, you instantly think real estate, tough, funny, the person I want to be around. Like that is the instant image that I want somebody to have of me when they hear my name. And I just think, again, going back to not talking about real estate with people, waiting for you to get that angle in because it's so salesy and people will instantly put up a wall. So that's why I leverage social media and my branding, that does the talking for me. So when we connect in person, that's not in the way. You already know it. So I don't have to sell you on who I am because you already know who I am. And now we can talk about you. Like, that's big for me.
And a badass realtor.
Badass. That is my, yes, that's
We've
what
all heard it right here. You know, something else you said when you and I chatted a couple of weeks ago, Courtney, and I thought it was interesting, and I'd write this down if any one of you are taking notes, but strategic but real. And I thought that was really, really interesting when you did that. We talk about being transparent or vulnerable or whatever. And again, everyone's very different. Marc, very different in your approach to using social, the media aspect of it. And Courtney, you're very much right there in the face, and it's who you are. And I think that's it's really important for our listeners to be hearing that. I'm going to ask this of anyone in the group who wants to just kind of raise your hand and talk, because I heard it here on a couple occasions, and I want to put a big disclaimer, if I could put an asterisk at the bottom of the screen here right now, is I said, I don't want you to say anything that would make, be real, be honest. But I've heard you guys talk a little bit about Coldwell Banker and the brand. And so I see a lot of times when people are working on branding, they're really focused on only their brand and not tying in the 115 years, blah, blah, blah of branding. So I know it's not on our list of questions, but any of you, are you tying it in? Do you use it to your advantage? Because I think we get confused when we're trying, when we're going through this process. A lot of people that haven't done the strategic work of branding. So if anyone who wants to answer that question.
I'll answer it.
Okay.
I'm a very loyal to my broker kind of person. I started with a small broker when I first started, and then went to another broker here in town that was an independent broker that has now since sold. And when we were with them, and they had 3,000 agents, I guess. And it was always, nobody's buying your brand, they're buying you. And that was easy to say when they didn't really have a brand to sell. And I appreciate that. But I found, and I resisted with Coldwell Banker. I mean, Alex will tell you, it took us a year to come over because I was like, I don't know if that's my vibe. And it's so my vibe. Coldwell Banker is amazing. So I love my group here. So what I found is, as I was moving up in price points, $1 million, $2 million, things like that, I noticed the same brokerages over and over again. You see the same ones. You see Compass, you see Coldwell Banker, you see Sotheby's. And for me, because that agent may not know me, they do know my brand. So there is a respect, I feel like, that is given automatically when you see Coldwell Banker Luxury, and then they get to know me. But to have that foot forward, I never knew I needed it. This is the first big brokerage I've ever been with. We have more than doubled our business since we have come over. And I will tell you that as you move up, it really is such a iconic brand. And it's also funny because when I switched to Coldwell Banker, I had some clients and friends say to me, "Oh, wow, you're in the big time now." And I was like, "Time? Like I'm still selling the same stuff. Like, what are you talking about?" But that's their perception. I had no idea they had that perception that Coldwell Banker was the big time, where I was before was like, okay, Courtney, we get it. You're good at real estate, but now you're good at real estate if they wanted you. And I had no idea that was the perception, because we all have our own perception of each brokerage and what they, we kind of like, oh, this is where, the nice old ladies go, or this is where, like, we have that and we put them in categories. And so, I had that perception of Coldwell Banker a little bit, and it has blown my mind. And just being on TikTok, I've had agents reach out like, "Hey, I like you. Where are you? Because I would like where you are, because you're cool." And then I'm like, "Me, Coldwell Banker." And then they're like, "Oh my God, I didn't know that you had all of this stuff. Like, who's been hiding all this stuff? This is amazing." So I say that it's helped me in so many ways that I didn't even realize until I got into it.
Yeah, we tend to hide stuff sometimes, which is unfortunate. But thanks for telling
so much stuff that it's like, it's unbelievable how much stuff that is available.
Yeah, it is. Marc, Drew, or Michelle, do you want to hop on that at all? Or okay, go ahead.
I would have a similar experience to Courtney's, coming from a smaller independent. When I first came here, I had a listing opportunity for one of the highest priced properties in the county. And I was up against, I don't know how many agents, and I actually got the listing because of the marketing material and branding with Coldwell Banker. And corporate was amazing in helping just helping me to have a proper and all, because there are so many things that Coldwell Banker has to offer to put the best foot forward. I did get the listing, sold it. It was the highest priced property that sold in the county since 2015. So just a lot of success stories from our move.
Thank you. And I know Michelle has a little bit of sound things going on. It's a little echoey. We're just going to pretend you're in your car going through like speeding down the highway. So no worries there. You're doing great, Michelle. And as a perfectionist, this is probably good for her to get over her fear of being perfect all the time. I can tell that you are always at your A+ game. Drew or Marc, could you want to answer that, or you want me to move on?
Sure. No, yeah, I can speak to it briefly. So I feel very lucky. I got started in my career at Coldwell Banker, and I remember my interview with the broker here in Wayzata, which is the biggest office in the Twin Cities. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, in terms of total production.
Right up there.
But I live in Orono, and we are lucky here to have an incredible market share. 80% of all transactions over $1 million in Orono in the last year were with Coldwell Banker. And so it's to the point where if you aren't with Coldwell Banker and you go into a listing appointment, you're at a significant disadvantage. And I knew that because prior to being licensed, I had used Coldwell Banker for all of my transactions. So then I get into Coldwell Banker, I start building my career, and I quickly realize why, because we have great networking opportunities within Coldwell Banker. We have the global luxury branding, which I leverage. I use Design Concierge now. But in the past, there's always been a lot of support in terms of marketing and other opportunities to get your name and face out there in the community. Here we have an exclusive publication called Artful Living, and it's a lifestyle magazine. And it's funny to me because I'll be showing property on the other side of town with a different broker listing it, and what's sitting on the coffee table? Artful Living. And it's like, a quarter or two old. I'm like, okay, these people have been sitting with a Coldwell Banker branded magazine on their, coffee table for 6 months. But it just feels, it has that fit and finish that, meets the luxury branding spec that I would put into my own marketing materials. So great presence here, great branding. And I think, again, the networking opportunities through Coldwell Banker have been phenomenal. I looked back at my business from the last year, and about 15% or more were non-MLS opportunities that I either found for a buyer or I sold a property for a seller without going to the market because of Coldwell Banker and the network.
Great. Marc, you want to answer that, or you want me to ask the next one to you?
I'll just chime in. I think I agree with everybody. I think you need to leverage Coldwell Banker's brand. Obviously, there's a legacy there. Obviously, the reputation is strong. Obviously, they have the resources internally that you should be taking advantage of if you're not. And that's all I want to say.
Okay. Well, that's perfect. And I will say blue is the best color. So with that, we'll get past the commercial side. That was not a commercial. So thank you for all you guys sharing that. But okay, I'm going to hop into let's get into some nuts and bolts, because I know one of the biggest feedback, people really, really want to have some takeaways, some things. So Marc, I'm going to start with you on this question, and it's on media. What media do you use to spread your brand, to kind of to pronounce yourself out to your community?
Well, I started with Outbound Engine, looking at Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and based on my target audience, I've identified that Facebook and LinkedIn work best for me. So that's what I tend to gravitate towards. Regarding print media, I utilize reminder media for my magazines, my quarterly magazines, as well as postcards. Regarding drip campaigns, passive marketing, I use the InTouch CRM. That's pretty much what I'm using right now. For presentations, I'm using the Moxie products that are available to me.
When you talk about target audience, what do you mean by that?
Well, I am selective, right? I'm selective. So there's a particular audience that I try to put myself in front of. There's a particular audience that I want to do business with. And that audience is not necessarily on, TikTok, for example, or Twitter. They are heavily in LinkedIn and in Facebook based on my analytics. So I try to communicate my brand on those platforms in order to reach them, in order to be of service to them.
Awesome. Michelle, I'll come to you on the same question. What media do you use to spread your brand? Oh,
You never know where.
oh, I'll pop out. Well, you guys can keep working on that. That's fine. Drew, why don't you kick on this one?
Yep.
What media you use?
So I had a lot of luck early on with Facebook, and I continue to, but I manage my Facebook personally because, like Courtney, my brand is me. And so, but it's interesting to me how you get a lot of great responses from people when you're not trying to self-promote necessarily, but more take the approach of congratulating clients, grateful for opportunities. And, truly that is what we're here for, is to provide great service and to celebrate our clients' wins. So, but that has been a great outlet for me, and I get a lot of traction there, relatively speaking, because I don't have a huge following, but, maybe just the people that are in my sphere of influence are following that. And I think that that's helpful because it's an opportunity to stay in touch with people I wouldn't otherwise be able to on a regular basis. And then Instagram, I know it's the wave of the future. I am on it. I was a late comer to Instagram, I would say, so I don't quite have the following, but I understand the value of having a presence on Instagram. And so my assistant and I do have a Drew Hewler team Instagram, and we do post, we do notify people of what's coming up, and also share some market data for where we live and the markets we serve, which people have called me or texted me about that. So I know that it's getting eyes, even if it doesn't get a exorbitant, number of likes, you still get traction and response from it. And so it's worth doing for sure.
Awesome. Well, we'll be all looking for you. And I did want to make a little bit of a interlude here in the middle. If you guys want to put in any of your social into the chat, I'm sure there's some people that want to follow you. I see a couple folks asking for, where are you at Facebook or on Insta or TikTok? Michelle, are you able to get some audio there? Nope, it's not on. Shoot. Okay. Well, you can keep trying on that side. We had perfection earlier, but that's the fun part about this. It keeps us on our toes and prepared. So, all right, Courtney, what media do you use to spread your brand?
I use a good chunk of them. Facebook is kind of where I started, and I think some people are surprised. I only have like 1,300 friends on Facebook. I don't accept everybody on Facebook. I don't accept all of the roofers and lenders, and because that makes it very impersonal to me. So I'm a little more selective of who I accept on Facebook, because I share pictures of my kids. I share, some personal stuff on there. So for me, that's a little more dialed in to my sphere and who I want to be in my sphere. TikTok is engaging. So I have almost 8,000 followers on TikTok, and I share a ton of information, from negotiating to stories to all kinds of stuff. But that message is pretty consistent with real estate on there. But you can certainly pick up on my personality as I'm sharing those things. Instagram is really a place to nurture. So you go from TikTok and you're engaging on TikTok, and you'll notice a lot of the top TikTokers. Is that a thing? I don't know if that's a thing, but send them to Instagram, and Instagram is going to be a place where you nurture your clients. So there's There's a mix of my TikTok videos on there that are watermark removed, and there's some about my life. There's, I share that information there because they're getting to know me on their own timeline. It's not as high energy. I'm on Pinterest as well. Pinterest is a search tool where people are going to look up things for problems that they have. And wouldn't you know it, there I am with a solution. So they're going to find me there. YouTube, I have never really fully embraced, but I'm trying because it's really just the same video just sent out to different platforms. And I am not a Twitterer. Never have been. Don't think I ever will be. So I just kind of stick with what I know. And again, I do it all myself, so I have to keep it manageable for me. But
how
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying the different platforms have different results. A lot of times people are under the assumption that they all kind of have the same results, and they don't. They are for different things, and you have to use them as such. I'm like Marc said, not all of my clients are on social media. And for that, I have this is my media tool right here. It's just my phone. Like Alex Vidal says, pick up the damn phone, make some phone calls, text message. I send out Bitmojis, again, nothing to do with real estate, but just like me with a giant coffee cup, Monday, just things to connect with people off of social media that has nothing to do with any of that. So using all of those tools, I know so many people, we all know so many people. So how do we stay in front of them? And then I have this thing, I think I don't know, it's just this intuition thing when it's time to reach out to somebody. If you ever wake up in the morning and someone's just on your brain, or you're at Target and you're buying laundry detergent, somebody all of a sudden this person just clicks into your head. I literally will stop what I'm doing and send them a text and be like, yeah, I was literally just thinking about you. How's your day? And they're like, shut your face. I was just talking about you last night. Oh my God. And it's this weird intuition thing. So I always tell people, if someone pops into your head out of the blue, pick up your phone and call them, text them, find out why, because I promise you they were probably talking about you. And that connection, or if I'm out and I'll see something somebody will I'll like a grill, I'll take a picture and be like, did you see this? It's that connection. But sometimes it's on social media and sometimes it's just on my phone.
You mentioned social is your billboard, and I thought that was a great way of saying it. How did you get started with this? I know this isn't a social media, but a lot of our consumers of our media come through many social platforms. How did you get started in that? Real quick, How did you get started in any one of them? And you kind of mentioned that each one has its place.
Sure. Yes, I started by finding some self-confidence, which was really hard because I was not putting myself out there. I lost some weight, a lot of weight, and then I started feeling better about myself, because it's really, and you don't have to lose weight to feel better about yourself, but it's really all self-perception and who you are and what can you do for yourself to make you more of yourself, because you're giving a lot of yourself. And I started with just doing some videos on TikTok and, dance with my daughter, things like that. And then it just kind of grew into, people will tell you what they want from you. And I think a lot of times we do social media, it's very self-serving. So we're doing social media for ourselves. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's not for us. People really don't care that much about us. They care about how we're going to help them and solve their problems. So it's finding out, the demographic is, what is your problem? It's not that, I want to work with 30-year-old people over in East Dallas. It's, what is their problem and what am I solving? So when I removed myself from the equation of social media, of what do I want to hear myself say, and moved it towards, okay, they can't get their offer accepted, and here they are another weekend looking at houses. Here's what you do to make that happen for you. And just started focusing on solving problems and writing down what are the problems that my people have who are in real estate. Here's all the problems they have. And then I just start knocking off their problems one at a time. And you're not necessarily telling them, detail on how to do it, but you're saying, I see you, I see your problem, here's a little something. And if they want more, then they reach out to me.
That's awesome. Okay, we're gonna pivot a little bit here. Any of you, and again, you can just raise your hand on this one because it was a question that was in the chat, and it was, did any of you use Design Concierge as your tool to kind of start your branding or work with your branding? I know a few of you start. Okay, Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, I did. I kind of had a concept of what I wanted for my logo. And, I think so often we see the home or the keys or something real estate oriented. And I just, I know I wanted something like that, but not necessarily that. And I turned it over to Design Concierge. I wanted my initials in there. I wanted something that was, I thought, reflective of who I was. And they were able to create several options for me that was just timeless. It wasn't trendy. It was simple, elegant, and timeless. And the experience was great for me. They really asked a lot of thought-provoking questions as it relates to the type of background I'd be using it, where I would be placing it, which is everywhere, but really helped me to kind of focus on what I wanted my logo to be.
Anyone else?
So,
We'll give it a shot. We'll see if we can hear through the thing. I'll let you know if we can. Yeah, no, stop. Okay. Well, you just sit and look pretty for a little bit.
I can chime in on this.
Go ahead.
So,
yeah.
We initially did not use Design Concierge. That's something that we've gotten engaged with in the last year. I had luck with logotournament.com actually to create my logo. Okay. And we were very happy with it, but it's an international competition essentially, and you put out a prize and people from all over the world compete to create your logo. You get to provide feedback, you get to provide input, and then it goes through, an iterative design process until you're at the end. I can't tell you how many logos were produced when we, I might have had too big of a prize, and it was like $500. It was a nominal amount in the scheme of things. But I had a lot of luck with that, and I'm very happy with the outcome. Recently, using Design Concierge has been very helpful. We redid our bios and redid a lot of our marketing material, and I was very happy with the layouts that they were able to provide. I think it is authentically, our brand and on point. And, we had done it ourselves, but it's great to have that ability to bring in the professionals because all of our stuff previously had been produced in-house. And I have a great assistant who has an eye for the marketing materials and helps with just about all of that. She was a big investment for me early on in my career. I actually hired her in my first year, and I thought, well, I can't afford you, but I don't know if I can afford not to have you. So that was a wise branding move, I think, and in terms of marketing material and everything else that I made early on. It was an investment.
I'll make a pitch for that assistant as well. I think you cannot afford to not have her. She's amazing.
Drew, what was that website again?
Oh, Taylor will put it up right now, but it's on the chat, logotournament.com.
I've never heard of it.
It's been great. I actually used it for clients of mine who are starting businesses and wanted to get a logo. I have builders that I work with. I've sent them to logotournament.com to have them create a new logo because I wanted their brand to be more consistent with the product that they were producing. And I felt like it wasn't quite there. So we've had a lot of luck with that.
That's cool.
What criteria did you use to get your branding started? So there's a lot of people out there probably go, okay, I know to go to Logo Tournament or Design Concierge or some other, provider, but what would you tell them? How do you get started, and what would you suggest that they do? Drew, we'll just kick back to you and then make a round.
Pass.
Pass. Okay, Mark. you can do that because I'm running it.
I'm sorry.
That's a power move. I like it.
You win. We'll move right on. Mark, what about you?
For me, it was, again, I'm going to go back to target audience. I know who I'm trying to, attract because I feel comfortable in that environment. I don't have a team, and I have to be very conscious of my time. I would say that target audience is number one. I also think number two is figuring out, like Courtney said earlier, what parts of your personality and strengths you want to convey, that you want them to know, the end user to know about. And I think creating a slogan is definitely a part of it. For me, it's helping families make the right move. And then I think going into the logo considerations that we're talking about with Design Concierge, what does that look like? What are the colors? How timeless do you want it to be? That kind of built into it. And then I think once we got that logo, basically put it out to everything. That was my criteria.
Okay. Do you think about certain criteria like cars driving by at 70 miles an hour, or, some of those things with fonts, any of that stuff come into play?
Believe it or not, there's a lot that goes into it that I got an education, I guess, an eye-opening with Design Concierge, because these were the questions they were asking me regarding fonts, colors, the backgrounds. Where are they going to be used? Is this going to be on print media versus social media versus emails? There was a lot into it, but I think they gave the guidance, at least to me, and the experience was great.
Okay. Courtney or Michelle?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yay, success. And I'm probably the opposite of Mark. I am on several things. So LinkedIn, I think, is huge and very underutilized by agents. Facebook, Instagram. I did just start with the postcards and I don't know what they're called. They're Coldwell Banker, and they go out monthly, and they're really nice. I started sending my sphere a couple months ago.
Probably Clients for Life.
No.
Okay. Reminder Media.
I don't know. That doesn't sound familiar, but Design Concierge told me about them. The staff is just great. Whatever you need, it's there if you figure out what you need. So we're doing those postcards. We're doing the calls. So I think we've added 10,000 people emails to updates that go out monthly with market reports for their communities. You just never know. I try to market to other agents. Just anything you can do to get your name out there. Be nice to everybody, I think, is huge. Be nice to other agents, be nice to your waitress, just try to get along and be yourself. Recently, most of my business, a big chunk of it, is coming from people that are transitioning to a very difficult situation, either via, death or a nursing home. And so, you want to come in, and I just try to be as sympathetic as possible and let them know, this is a big part of my business. I am very familiar with what it takes to get through this. I know it's very hard for you. It's a difficult situation. And just by saying that has been a huge game changer. You can feel everybody's weight just come right down. So I'm not sure if that ties in with branding, but that's been really helpful for me lately.
I think so. Courtney, did you have anything you wanted to mention on the, how to suggest someone getting started? And then we're going to probably get to our last question. And then unfortunately, I could do this for another couple hours, but I think there's people that have things to do. So Courtney, anything you want to add to that?
I love branding, and as far as logos and stuff like that, there's a tool on Canva that you can use to, like, if you are on Pinterest and you find something that's just so you, like, this room looks like me, it is everything me, and then you can go to Canva and pull the colors from it and create like a tool board, a kit, like a media kit with those colors. Like it's like a uniform, black, white, denim, green. Like that's pretty much it. Some gold thrown in. And so my logo very much represents that too. It's clean, it's black, it's white, and it's my name and my initials. And then so people can see it. And I think it's very important. Like when you introduce yourself, I always introduce myself. I'm Courtney Benson. I reiterate my name over and over again. It's in my messaging. It's when I meet them in person, because there could be other Courtneys out there. But Courtney Benson, when you hear your name repeated over and over again, and then it's also in your marketing over and over again, it becomes, people take it in and it gets in their subconscious. So I think it's very important. So when I introduce myself and when I put my media out there, you'll see Courtney Benson Property Group, hashtag Courtney Benson Property Group. And I stay very consistent with it. And it's my colors, black, white, that's it, clean, simple. There's not a key or like a house doing a crazy thing. It's just simple.
Great.
Totally agree.
So you guys have all given some awesome tips on things on building the brand and how you went about doing all of that. If you're looking back, and this will be our last question as we kind of round out, but when you look back, was there something you did to build your brand that did not work? And if you could help some folks avoid some of those mistakes along the way, Marc, we'll start with you.
Going back 7 years ago, I interviewed the top agents in the brokerage. It was a small independent luxury brokerage, and everybody was farming. And I thought in order to be successful, I needed to farm too. So I thought I would be savvy enough to identify affluent communities, look at turnover ratios, anything over 30%, that would be a viable option. And I would increase the activity consistently over a 2-year period, spending thousands of dollars to push my brand out there and hopefully turn that into business. And it failed miserably. I think where I came up short was the platform that I was using wasn't correct. To Courtney's, Courtney said something very important. Messaging is key. And I think I was all over the place back then. I wasn't as targeted and as focused as I am now. And it was not a consistent message. The other thing where I failed miserably, or should I say failed forward, was I wasn't utilizing that brokerage's brand as much as I should have. And I think that's a big misstep for even the younger agents, the newer agents in Coldwell Banker. We've got such a great brand that we need to leverage that and all of the tools made available to us as best as we can. So you don't spend money, so you don't spend valuable time. And that was my experience farming.
Interesting. Michelle.
I guess if there's one thing I would say that I feel I have not done well, and that is building your database, because that is really, we've been a little lax on it, got busy and kind of put that aside, but I'm trying to get the team to, anytime you get an email, get them on some kind of marketing plan. And the staff's been working with our team and the new Moxie to get all that going. But I just, really getting to know those people and taking their information and then doing something with it.
Interesting. Courtney, any missteps you made along the way?
Yeah, I continue to do so. It's glorious to watch sometimes. I would say in the beginning, probably my biggest misstep was I was selfish. I branded and marketed to myself. And I see it sometimes when agents are new and they just can't wait to get out if you know anyone looking to buy or sell within real estate, please call me. Like, it's just this thing that you want to do. And I heard other people doing it. And then I jumped on the bandwagon, and then I'd say it, and then I'd be like, that feels icky. Like, that is not me. And so I think my approach was very selfish. I was, appeasing what I needed to do to tell them what I was doing and who I was. And when I removed all of that and realized, okay, who am I? How do I speak? How do I represent myself? And then what's my skill set to solve your problems? Because at the end of the day, and when I get really frustrated, and sometimes, when you're dealing with 30 clients at the same time and you want to go sit in the corner and just cry because it's relentless, I remind myself, I remove real estate from it completely. And I just say, I'm a problem solver. That it's actually in my TikTok. I am a problem solver. Sometimes I solve the problem of where you're going to dinner. Sometimes I solve the problem of you buying $1 million house. It doesn't matter. I am a problem solver, and the more problems I solve and the better problems I solve, the more business I have. And so I removed the selfishness from my dialogue with people into, here's who I am, here's what I have to offer, and how can I solve your problems with my specific and unique skill set that I have and I'm very confident in. So how can I do that for you? And once I figured out how to cultivate that and market that, then, I mean, that's, people come to me for it. And I don't have to go turning over rocks looking for people, because they know if they have a problem, they bring it to me. Literally, like, what car should I buy, Courtney? Where do I get my haircut, Courtney? Like, where are we going to dinner? I've got a party. What do you think I should serve? Literally, I solve problems all day. Half of them don't have anything to do with real estate, but they all have to do with client service. Yeah. And I'm here for it. I am here for it. Even when I pass out on the bed at 11 o'clock at night, I am here for it. And then I catch myself going, oh, stop texting me. And then I go, nope, that is the wrong attitude. Because if my phone stopped, that is a whole different set of problems that I have been through before and I don't ever want again. So please keep texting me. Please keep asking me the questions, because I am so grateful for it. I mean, what an awesome job. What an awesome thing to get to do, to provide this service to people who are like, you're cool. I like what you have to say. I think you're smart. Help me out. I mean, that's freaking amazing.
It is. Awesome. You know, I've heard twice, I think, on here today, you know, this basic theory of the law of attraction, and you all have it. Drew, any last comments on any missteps you took along the way?
Yes, I think so. Michelle brought up a really good point in saying, you know, how you treat people, the people that are waiting on your table. And for me, it was, I realized quickly, anything that's impersonal was not effective. So mailers for me, trying to farm, none of that was effective. Creating a genuine connection with people and being good to people, you know, it might be solving a problem, Courtney, it might just be, I genuinely have an interest in people. I love people. So I will sit and talk with somebody and get to know them regardless of what walk of life they're from sometimes. And so the person that was drying my car, you know, when I was going to listing appointments or going to show clients properties, ended up being one of my best referral sources. And you know, you never would know that. So it's creating connection. And the other thing is, I think people feeling welcomed by you. I like to host at my house. That's part of my branding, but it's not, it's just me. I want to have people over. I want people to feel welcome and appreciated. So I think making it personal and being genuine is the best way to be effective in this business, and solving their problems and being client service centric. I mean, you got to be focused on making sure they have the best outcome. So
that's awesome. Well, that's a great way to end it. Be nice to your waitress, or as I always say, hug your office administrator. And I want to say a really special thank you. I feel so blessed to have been able to facilitate this with you, Marc Sinclair, Drew Hewler, Courtney Benson, and Michelle Arsenault. Today was fantastic, and I know there's a lot of great insight that was taken from it. Next month, every third Tuesday of every month, we put this view from the top on. Next month, my good friend and peer in St. Louis, Carol McCabe, will be doing Getting What You're Worth. And I'm going to tell you, don't want to miss this. The folks that will be on that panel are going to tell you how to earn more and get what you deserve, get your unfair share. So join Carol next month on the 21st of June for that session. Thanks again to Marc, Courtney, Drew, and Michelle, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody.
I appreciate you hosting.
Thank you.